Warriors fans woke up today with that familiar rush of adrenaline that only a wild off-season rumor can bring, as timelines across the Bay exploded with talk that Coby White is on the verge of being contracted by Golden State, a whisper that started small and suddenly turned into a tidal wave of speculation that refuses to die down. Every corner of Dub Nation is buzzing, from the fans who never miss a minute at Chase Center to the ones who follow every beat from afar, because the very idea of Coby White trading the red and black of Chicago for the blue and gold of the Warriors feels like the kind of plot twist that could flip the Western Conference upside down and inject fresh hope into a franchise that still breathes championships. Coby White is not just another guard. He is the explosive backcourt engine of the Chicago Bulls, a combo guard who built his reputation as a fearless scorer with deep range, fast handles, and a willingness to push the pace every time he touches the ball. He rose through North Carolina as a prolific bucket-getter, carving defenses apart in college before stepping into the league as a scoring prodigy. The kind of guard who can light up a scoreboard in bursts that feel more like a video game than real life, and now Warriors fans are daring to imagine that energy unleashed inside Chase Center. This rumor did not arrive quietly. It came riding on anonymous posts, late-night spaces, podcast hints, and those vague lines from so-called insiders who talk about conversations between front offices and mutual interest, enough to spark the question in every Warriors group chat. What if this actually happens and Coby White really becomes part of Dub Nation? On Bay Area talk shows, the hosts are already painting the picture, describing a backcourt where Stephen Curry shares the floor with another dynamic guard who can push in transition, attack off the dribble, and take on scoring responsibility when the game starts to grind, giving the Warriors a new layer of unpredictability and danger. From a fan's perspective, this rumor hits differently because Coby White is not a veteran at the end of his prime coming for one last run. He is still a rising player, someone who has been climbing the ladder in Chicago, turning raw talent into polished offensive versatility and being recognized around the league as one of the best value contracts in basketball. Imagine the sight. Coby White drifting around screens in the Warriors' motion offense, catching the ball on the move, attacking gaps that open because defenses are too scared to leave Curry for even a fraction of a second, the two of them bending the floor together in patterns that make coaches lose sleep. The fit on paper feels almost too perfect, and that is exactly why fans are spiraling into excitement, because Coby thrives in tempo, in chaos, in broken plays where his quick first step and pull-up jumper can punish defenders who hesitate, and Golden State has built its dynasty on turning movement and confusion into art. Inside front office circles around the league, the talk is that the Warriors know they need fresh legs and fresh firepower next to their franchise cornerstone, that they cannot rely forever on nostalgic memories and must keep evolving if they want to stay in the conversation as a serious threat in a conference full of hungry, athletic teams. The big question hanging over this rumor, of course, is how the Warriors could actually pull it off in a world of salary cap rules, second aprons, and complicated trade math. But that has not stopped Dub Nation from dreaming up every possible scenario where picks, young pieces, and creative maneuvering somehow produce a deal that brings White to the Bay. Scrolling through social media right now feels like entering an alternate universe where Coby is already a Warrior, with fan-made edits showing him in the classic blue jersey, hair bouncing as he races up court, Chase Center glowing in the background while Curry celebrates next to him like he has just discovered a new backcourt brother. What truly fuels this rumor is not just tactics and cap sheets, it is emotion, because Warriors fans remember what it felt like when other seemingly impossible moves suddenly became real, and they know that this front office has a history of surprising the league when people least expect it. On the Bulls side of the story, the speculation is that Chicago might be at a crossroads, rethinking its core, managing a young group that now includes new faces in the backcourt and on the wings, and some analysts have openly wondered whether moving Coby White for a massive haul would be a painful but strategic decision in the long term. There are whispers that Coby himself wants to taste the air of deep playoff nights, that he is hungry for a stage where every possession matters and where national broadcasts are not a luxury but a routine, and nowhere does that stage shine brighter than in the Bay when the Warriors are rolling. In countless Warriors podcasts, fans are already debating lineups as if the transfer were signed, sealed, and announced, talking about small configurations where Coby and Curry share the floor with long, switchable forwards who can guard up, allowing the backcourt to focus on shredding defenses with shooting, pace, and playmaking. The image of Steve Kerr drawing up actions for Coby White in those famous after-timeout sets is intoxicating, with screens from Draymond Green, cutters zipping through the paint, and Coby catching the ball at exactly the right angle to attack a bent defense and either rise for a jumper or dish to a cutting teammate. Fans cannot help but compare this potential move to past experiments with scoring guards, remembering how some worked brilliantly and others created friction. But there is a sense that Coby's game has matured, that he has evolved from pure microwave scorer into a more complete offensive engine who understands rhythm, pacing, and reads. From a purely stylistic standpoint, Coby White looks like someone born to thrive under bright lights. the signature hair, the fearless body language, the way he behaves when the ball finds him in a big moment all feel like traits that would immediately resonate with a fan base that loves flair as much as it loves fundamentals. Of course, a rumor like this also forces hard questions about what Golden State would need to give up, and that has sparked emotional debates among fans who are deeply attached to the homegrown players, prospects and defensive anchors who have come to symbolize the future of the Warriors beyond their current stars. Inside the locker room, one can easily imagine the mixed emotions such talk would create. Veterans who crave another ring might secretly welcome the arrival of a dynamic scorer who can relieve pressure, while younger players might look over their shoulder wondering if their name is already being attached to trade hypotheticals. The thought of Curry sharing wisdom with Coby White is one of the most tantalizing pieces of this entire fantasy, because the idea of the greatest shooter of all time teaching another fearless guard how to move without the ball, how to read off-ball screens, and how to punish every inch of space feels like pure basketball poetry. From Coby's perspective, the Warriors system could be the laboratory where he pushes his game into a new realm, learning the craft of constant movement, relocating after the pass, finding angles with backdoor cuts, and using the gravity of his teammates to free his own drives in ways he never fully could in Chicago. Defensively, the rumor has sparked an intense conversation, because while Coby has shown growth and effort on that end, skeptics worry about a backcourt that might be targeted by bigger wings, and they want to know if the coaching staff can build a scheme that hides weaknesses and maximizes strengths. Optimists point to the Warriors' history of turning perceived defensive liabilities into passable defenders through system discipline, communication, and smart help, arguing that with the right training and buy-in, Coby could become at least solid within a scheme that emphasizes switching, tagging, and collective responsibility. Analytics-minded fans are already feeding hypothetical lineups into their models, debating how much Coby's shooting gravity, drive frequency, and pick-and-roll creation would boost the Warriors' offensive rating, even as they acknowledge that all of this speculation is built on a foundation of rumors rather than official statements. Memes have taken over the day. Coby White photoshopped into old dynasty pictures, Coby White reacting to imaginary chants from the Bay, Coby White in fake screenshots of video game rosters where he wears a Warriors uniform, a digital dream that feels almost real when you stare at it long enough. Dub Nation seems split between dreamers and skeptics, with one side saying that a bold, aggressive move is exactly what the franchise needs right now, while the other side urges patience, arguing that size on the interior and defensive versatility should be higher priorities than adding another guard. History tells Warriors fans that this organization is not afraid to take big swings when the opportunity presents itself, whether in the draft, in free agency, or in trades, and that reputation is one of the main reasons why a rumor like Coby White to Golden State never feels completely impossible, even when the financial gymnastics look complicated. Still, all reasonable voices insist on one important truth. Nothing official has been announced, the Bulls have not issued any statement, the Warriors' front office remains silent, and everything swirling around the fan base right now is built on whispers, interpretation, and the restless imagination that defines modern sports culture. The timing of the rumor, arriving just as teams quietly prepare for the next wave of deals and extensions, gives it extra weight, as if someone chose this exact moment to test the waters, leak a possibility, and see how both fan bases and media outlets would react to the idea of Coby changing coasts. Across the Bay, you can picture fans refreshing their phones in cafes, on public transport, at work and at home, eyes bouncing between notification icons, hoping to see that magical alert from a trusted reporter that pushes the rumor from fantasy into negotiation and from negotiation into a near reality. In their minds, the script is already written, a packed Chase Center on opening night, the lights dimmed, pyrotechnics exploding, and then the announcer stretching out the name Coby White, as the crowd roars with the full force of a fan base that believes it is witnessing the birth of a new chapter. Fans picture the first time Coby hits a clutch jumper in blue and gold, chest-bumping teammates while the camera zooms in on his face, catching the mix of relief and fire that defines those who live for the biggest moments and thrive under pressure rather than shrinking from it. The merchandising angle is another layer of the fantasy that fans love to explore, imagining racks of fresh jerseys with White's name hanging in stores across the Bay, custom shirts, hoodies, and posters filling the streets, signaling that a new guard has joined a franchise that already carries worldwide brand power. Culturally, many believe Coby would fit right into the Bay Area vibe, with its mix of creativity, swagger, diversity, and innovation, picturing him attending local events, supporting community causes, and quickly becoming a fan favorite not just for what he does on the court but for the personality he brings off it. In Chicago, the hypothetical departure reads like heartbreak, because Bulls fans know they have watched Coby grow from prospect to cornerstone, and losing a player who has become a symbol of their optimism would hurt deeply, even if the return package promised to reshape the roster for the future. For Coby himself, the Warriors' path would offer a chance to chase something every player secretly craves: meaningful games deep into spring, conference battles where each possession might decide a series, and the possibility of raising a trophy while confetti falls and cameras flash. From a tactical angle, the thought of Coby running pick-and-roll actions with Draymond Green as the screener has Warriors fans drooling, imagining short rolls, kickouts, handbacks and rescreens that exploit defensive indecision and free White for drives or pull-ups in the heart of the defense. Add the classic off-ball movement that defines the Warriors' offense, and you get a vision where Coby is not just a primary ball handler but also a constant motion piece, using flare screens, back screens and ghost screens to confuse defenders who never quite know where he will pop up next. Late-game situations become a playground in this imagined future, with Curry and White working together in two-man actions, forcing defenses to choose between overcommitting to the established superstar or risking that the rising guard exploits the smallest crack for a dagger basket. But for every dream lineup there is a corresponding fear, and fans are honest about that. Some worry about how the minutes would be distributed, whether promising young guards would see their roles shrink, and whether the balance between experience and development would tilt too far toward short-term urgency. The media circus that would follow any concrete progress on this rumor is easy to envision, with national outlets sending reporters to the Bay and to Chicago, dissecting body language in interviews, looking for cryptic quotes from players and coaches, and refreshing every official account for a sign of movement. Preseason footage in this fantasy becomes must-see television, with fans studying every second of practice videos, every half-speed scrimmage, trying to read into the smallest interaction between Coby and the rest of the Warriors' core to see if the chemistry looks as natural as they hope. If the deal were to happen, many argue, it could extend the Warriors' competitive window by injecting youth and scoring into a core that has carried heavy loads for years, offering a bridge between the current era and whatever version of Dub Nation comes next. Others counter that the team's real needs lie elsewhere, that size, rebounding and rim protection should be higher on the priority list, and that investing assets and money into another guard, even one as talented as Coby White, could leave the Warriors vulnerable when facing physically imposing rivals. The debate often circles back to Coby's profile as a player who has steadily improved, fought through adversity and transformed himself from streaky bench scorer into a more consistent force, a trajectory that gives hope he could thrive even more under the tutelage of an elite organization. Younger fans approach all of this with pure joy, flooding platforms with highlight compilations, fantasy stat lines, and digital art of Coby in Warriors colors, while older fans balance their excitement with a touch of caution, remembering that not every hyped addition in league history has delivered on its promise. Economically, a move like this would be a headline in itself, signaling once again that Golden State is willing to invest heavily in staying relevant at the highest level, even in a new financial landscape that challenges big spenders and forces them to pick their bets carefully. Around the world, where Warriors fandom stretches from continent to continent, the reaction to this rumor has been immediate, with international supporters commenting in multiple languages, eager to see whether a fresh guard with electric skills might become the next global favorite in a franchise that already boasts worldwide idols. If Coby White did arrive in the Bay, it would reinforce the idea that Golden State remains one of the league's true destination franchises, a place where ambitious players go not just for exposure and endorsement opportunities but for the chance to compete at the highest level of team basketball. On the flip side, the Bulls' identity would shift, forced to redefine who leads their perimeter attack and how their young core is structured, particularly after building a system in which Coby's scoring and creation have been central pieces alongside other rising talents. League-wide, rivals would feel the shockwave of this hypothetical transaction. Because a Warriors team that adds a high-octane guard of Coby's caliber is not just a fun storyline, it is a strategic threat that might force other contenders to adjust their plans, reconsider their rotations, and maybe even chase their own countermoves. The life cycle of a rumor in modern basketball is fast and intense, and this one is no different. A leak here, a cryptic comment there, a denial that somehow does not fully close the door, and suddenly fans are left parsing every word from every insider, trying to decide what is smoke and what might be fire. In online forums, people claim to know people who know people, quoting anonymous sources who talk about serious talks, preliminary frameworks, and ownership interest, even though no official figure has put their name behind the idea that Coby White to the Warriors is anything more than a tantalizing possibility. Everywhere you look, the core of the debate remains the same. Do the Warriors need another guard like Coby White more than they need size and defense, or is his mix of shot creation and scoring so valuable that you simply do not pass up the chance if a deal becomes truly viable? Fantasy trades flood the comment sections, with fans building elaborate proposals and arguing over whether they are realistic, overpaying, or disrespectful to one side. But at the center of all those digital negotiations is a simple desire to see Coby White in blue and gold, no matter what it takes. The emotional toll of living through a rumor like this is very real for die-hard supporters, who wake up hopeful, spend the day on edge, and go to sleep still wondering whether tomorrow will bring news that pushes them towards celebration or disappointment. In bars near Chase Center, conversations have already shifted from past glories to future possibilities, with regulars raising their glasses to the idea of Coby catching fire in the third quarter of a big game and igniting the building the way only true scorers can. One can imagine the story of a single superfan, a person who has lived through the highs and lows of the franchise, sitting with their old jerseys around them, watching highlight clips of Coby and whispering to themselves that maybe, just maybe, the basketball gods will let this dream come true. At a deeper level, this rumor touches something universal about sports. The belief that one player, one move, one bold decision can change everything, can reopen a title window, can heal the sting of recent disappointments and give a fan base a new narrative to rally around. Fans point to the franchise's history, remembering earlier eras when bold, unexpected moves shifted the league landscape, and they use those memories as fuel to insist that nothing is impossible, that the Warriors could once again surprise everyone if they truly believe Coby White is the missing piece. For Coby, this imagined journey arcs from his days as a high school legend in North Carolina to college stardom and then to professional growth in Chicago, and now perhaps to a new challenge in the Bay, a trajectory that reads like the script of a modern basketball movie. In the minds of Warriors fans, he has already hit game winners in that script, stepping into a late clock possession, dribbling at the top of the key while the crowd holds its breath, then rising up to bury a shot that sends Chase Center into pure chaos and lives forever in highlight reels. National shows would feast on such a move, filling segments with graphics, debates and heated arguments about whether the addition of Coby would catapult the Warriors back into the top tier of contenders or simply add fireworks to a team that still has structural questions. Bulls fans, in this imagined future, organize hashtag campaigns, pleading with the front office not to let Coby go, sharing memories of his biggest nights, his most emotional interviews, his development as a leader and a symbol of hope for a franchise searching for a consistent new identity. In the family circles around Coby, the rumor would spark tough conversations about comfort versus ambition, loyalty versus opportunity, and what it means to leave the city where you grew into a star in order to chase rings in a place where the pressure is constant and the expectations are sky high. Beneath all the flashy talk lies the cold business side of the league, where players are assets, contracts are puzzles, and sentiments are sometimes secondary to balance sheets and long-term planning, a reality that often clashes with the emotional way fans experience the game. Some Warriors loyalists worry about sacrificing too much of the team's homegrown identity, fearing that moving key youngsters or beloved role players for a big name might disrupt the delicate chemistry that has always been a secret ingredient of the franchise's success. Others respond that championship windows do not stay open forever, that when a chance appears to add a guard who can score from everywhere, handle the ball and step into big moments without fear, you take it and deal with the rest later. The rumor seems to quiet down for a few hours at a time, only to flare up again when a new podcast drops a vague line, when a reporter mentions interest in passing, or when a player likes a suspicious post, sending fan detectives into overdrive. Pundits flip their positions with the flow of information, some days calling the idea unrealistic and on others admitting that the smoke feels a little too thick to be pure fantasy, especially with the current state of both rosters and the ambitions of both franchises. The silence from the Warriors' front office is perhaps the most haunting piece of this puzzle, because in a league where leaks are constant, a lack of denial can feel almost as telling as a confirmation, leaving fans to wonder what is happening behind closed doors. And then comes that late-night moment every fan knows. The phone buzzes on the bedside table, a notification flashes from a well-known insider, and for a second time freezes as you brace yourself to see whether the name Coby White appears next to the word Warriors in a way that changes everything. Reports from anonymous league executives, real or imagined, float around calling Golden State a lurking presence in any conversation involving high-level guards, feeding the belief that the franchise is always watching, always thinking, always one move away from shocking the league again. As a Warriors supporter, you ride every twist of this rumor with your heart on the line, arguing in comment sections, sending voice messages to friends, defending your vision of the perfect lineup while, deep down, knowing that none of it is guaranteed. The modern era of basketball fandom, supercharged by social media, has also created a shadow world of fake insider accounts and attention-hungry voices who will say anything for engagement, and that makes it harder than ever to separate genuine smoke from pure illusion in situations like this. Still, the daydream refuses to fade. Fans keep playing out both possible futures, one where the rumor dies with a simple denial and another where it becomes the first chapter of a new Warriors storyline that will be discussed for years. In the more optimistic timeline, an official graphic appears on the team's account, showing Coby White smiling in a Warriors jersey, the caption announcing his arrival and the comments instantly filling with reactions that range from disbelief to pure euphoria. In the alternative timeline, the deal never materializes, and months from now fans look back on this period as that wild Coby White rumor era, a time when Dub Nation let itself dream big and used the idea of a new guard as fuel for endless debates and fantasies. Either way, the experience itself says something powerful about what it means to be a fan, about investing emotion in people you have never met, about projecting hope onto roster moves and trusting that somewhere in the front office, people are working to make your dreams come true. The rumor has turned into a kind of social glue, connecting strangers who might otherwise never speak but now spend entire evenings discussing pick-and-roll angles, closing lineups, and how Coby's presence could change the way defenses guard the Warriors. Somewhere in this swirl of speculation, reality continues to move quietly forward, with front offices balancing calls, evaluating options and weighing risk against reward, and fans are left to read between the lines of every quote, every pause, every wink. As the conversation evolves, more and more supporters are posting their ideal Warriors lineups built around Coby White, describing how they would use him with the current core, and inviting others to agree, disagree, and share their own versions of a perfect rotation. Content creators urge their audiences to stay tuned, to keep notifications on, to follow every twist of the saga, knowing that whether the rumor bursts into flames or fades into smoke, the story itself will keep generating passion, views, and engagement. Right now, nothing is settled. The rumor lives in that delicate space between dream and possibility, and yet it has already done something powerful for Dub Nation, reminding everyone that the future is still open, that bold moves are still imaginable, and that basketball always leaves room for surprise. As a lifelong Warriors fan, you close your eyes and picture it one more time. Coby White pushing the ball up the court in blue and gold, Curry spacing to the wing, the crowd rising before anything even happens, sensing that a new chapter might be unfolding right in front of them. Until an official announcement arrives, this remains a story written in the hearts and minds of fans, a rumor that crosses cities and timelines, and a question that hangs in the Bay Area air like a long, arcing jumper. Will Coby White truly become a Warrior, or will he remain the star of the greatest what-if in recent Dub Nation memory?